shiver. Goalkeepers, nervous strikers, they'll deliver. Crowd roars erupted, you can feel the quake. 80,000 voices. We never lose, and a lose, and a lose. We never lose, and a lose, and a lose. We never lose, and a lose, and a lose. Shortcuts on the field, defenders they shiver. Goalkeepers, nervous strikers, they'll deliver. Crowd roars erupted, you can feel the quake. 80,000 voices.
Hello there, you're welcome to the show. So from broken promises to Mo Salah winning the PFA Players Player award to Wonderkids I want to talk about, to a bit of transfer news as well. So a couple of things to talk about. I'd like to know your opinions in the comment section as always. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, like the video as well, and do share it to people you feel will love content like this. So let's go straight into it. So Mo Salah wins the Players Player of the Year award. Now, for me, that's surprising. No, not at all, because he deserves it. He absolutely deserves it. As a Chelsea fan, it probably stinks a bit that a Chelsea player didn't win it in terms of club pride and rivalry and being tribal. But when you have a look at it closely, no Chelsea players really comes close to winning it, to challenging him, because, okay, he hit the numbers. You can see Cole Palmer sort of hit the numbers as well. But then he hit the numbers he hit, and as well gone on to win the league title, So for me, because you can score lots of goals, great lots of assists, but the question is, how do those goals and assists contribute to winning? How often do they contribute to winning? Like Harry Kane. That's why for me, I know Spurs fans may not like this, so be it. But would you really consider Harry Kane a Premier League great? Of course, he is a top player, scored lots of goals in the Premier League. But what did his winning the Premier League, what did his goals amount to? What did it allow Spurs to achieve? Well, Mo Salah, his goals, his assists, have led to Liverpool, greatly contributed to Liverpool win the league title, contributed to them win the Premier League again, winning domestic cups, winning Premier League titles. So while from a Chelsea fan's perspective, it really stings, to see a Liverpool player win the PFA Players of the award. He just deserves it. He deserves this season. Hopefully, Cole Palmer can come on strong this season and overtake him with a brilliant performance, contributing to goals, contributing to assists, and all that. So I'll just share my screen a minute and bring this up here, because I think he deserves it. Yeah? Mo Salah deserves it. Player of the Year, PFA's Players Player of the Year. He deserves it 100%, in my opinion. He more than deserves it. So you see it here. Mohamed Salah is the PFA's Player of the Year. 100% he deserves it. Now there's some other thing that hit, the PFA sort of squad, the squad of the year that of last season was put out there. There was a name that made that list, and that was Alexander Isak. Now, and no one would actually argue with that. He's hit the numbers, he scored the goals he scored. 26 or 27 goals, 27 odd goals in the season, assist to boot. So fair play. But if that was the news, if that was only the news, that would have been fine. But something else hit. Probably must have heard of it, but I'll give my 2 cents about it in a minute. But Mo Salah, what a player, what a man. Top player for Liverpool. Absolute Premier League legend at this point in time. I still feel Hazard's a better player than him, but overall, as a Premier League legend, he has cemented his place with the awards he wins, with the goals he wins, with how he's carried himself. No one has heard any scandal about Mo Salah. This has been there. So for me, the entire package, he deserves what he's getting. Skills, character, and production. So plus titles to boot. So he deserves it 100% in my opinion. So now moving on from Mo Salah, a statement dropped. with respect to Alexander Isak. Now, for me, this thing I keep telling players, I keep saying about players, whatever you think you want, whatever you think you desire, have it in the contract. Have it in the contract. I hope it's couldn't get what I wanted, but I'll just see if I can be able to read from here. If I'll be able to read this from here, but have it in the contract. All this talk about gentleman's agreement is just silly talk, in my opinion. It's just silly talk. If it's not in the contract, then you didn't really need it enough. That's why I see it. So this is what he said. If I can really read it from here, I don't think I can read it from here. So essentially, I'll just paraphrase. So what he said essentially is that promises were made. This now. So promises were made. Promises were made between him and Liverpool, and with him and Newcastle. That essentially he'll be allowed to leave, and he had a contract on the table. Like he could have got the contract. The contract was not signed. If a top club puts in an offer, he'll be allowed to join the club. But that hasn't happened, and now he's upset. Now, on the one hand, you can get where he's coming from. You can say when someone makes a promise to you, you're hoping that that person sticks to the promise. You're hoping that that person, embraces that promise. But in football, in business, there's actually nothing like gentleman's agreement. Gentleman's agreement is what they tell you to get you to actually sign the actual agreement. Don't worry, we got you. Play one more year for us. As long as you keep scoring goals, don't worry, we'll sort you out. A bid comes in that you think you like from a club you want to go to, we'll sort you out. As long as you're good, that's fine. No, that's not it. I keep saying this. If you want two German Shepherd dogs to walk you out each time you walk out from the stadium, each time you walk out to the pitch, have it in the contract. If you want to have your breakfast made by 5-star Michelin chefs, you should have that in your contract. If it's important to you, you should have it in your contract. So in that regard, you can see where he's coming from. And that's why I say, player, be careful of agents you have. Make sure they read everything, and anything you want should be on the contract. Anything other than being on the contract is a perfect waste of time, in my humble opinion, my very, very humble opinion. And then I think the way he's carried himself, I think he's also reduced his stock a bit. He's also reduced his value a bit, in my opinion. Because for me, I feel like if you want to leave a club, you can put in your transfer request, keep playing, keep training with your teammates, and then we know then when things are set, you can leave. Or you can be smart about it and say, what I'll do is I'll sign a new contract. I may even take a pay cut in that new contract, but I'll insist on an absolutely ridiculously cheap or low buyout clause. Now, because I've seen players facing this sort of thing right, left, and center. We've seen the likes of Ademola Lookman, Atalanta have played hardball so much. Inter Milan are reported to be, to be walking off the table, not open to negotiation anymore. But he's saying we had a gentleman's agreement. If an offer came in to a club I wanted to go to, they will let me go. But the CEO came up and gave his own statement and said, "Oh, that agreement was mainly for clubs outside of Italy, outside of Serie A, and therefore the offer being made by Inter Milan, we still have the right to decide whether you go or not." So, if you want an agreement, you should have it in your contract. How you doing? I'm doing well. AD says Isak should go to Liverpool now. United should sign Wisa and Larsen and Gonzalo Ramos. Samu signed for Newcastle United now. Oh, I think fair play. I think that's a good one. I think in terms of let Isak go to Liverpool, because that's what it's come to. Because right now, I know fans can be fickle because people all make the argument that if Isak plays a couple of games. Maybe the first game, the Newcastle faithful would boo him, but once he scores one goal, maybe maybe the team is losing 2-0. He comes up, scores a hat trick, you win. The next game, he scores 2 goals, you win, and maybe does this or does this after scoring. Before you know, he's forgiven. Maybe that can happen. But then again, his teammates, how does that work out? Probably can work out as well. Because some of the teammates that you may be saying are super, super faithful teammates, if a huge offer comes in for them right now, they may very well leave. So maybe there could be a bit more understanding to it, but nonetheless, it's still a messy, messy situation. And Wisa as well has gone on to do his own bit, change or remove every sort of picture that ties him to Brentford, from his profile. He's gone on to, I think he's not showing with them. So it seems to be what players do now. But I asked the question of the agents. When you're signing for a Brentford, this is with all due respect to Brentford, when you're signing for a Brentford, right, you know where they compete at. You know that they really don't compete to win the Premier League title, right? You know they really don't push to win the FA Cup. If they win it, brilliant, right? You know that. You also know that they may not really push top 4. They may have an odd season where they do it. Just a surprisingly, shockingly odd season. Push, they beat everyone. So tough like Nottingham Forest finished 4th. But you know that really not one of the big dogs in the Premier League. So don't you think, from agent perspective, you should have those clauses? If a club, that's won the Premier League, or a club that's currently in top 4 or in Champions League spots, make an offer for this player, there should be the immediate permission given by the club to speak with that player. These are the things that should be in the contract. And rather than going on to advise your agents to take their club name, their club badge, their club pictures and stuff off their profile, for me, I just feel like it's poor advice that these players get, in my opinion. And once again, there's nothing like a gentleman's agreement, ladies and gentlemen. Ademola Lookman is facing it. Isak is seeing it right now. And of course, Gyökeres had to fight through and pay a fine, I think 300,000 euros to get his move. Next, funny enough, I think Samuel Morojo is a player that is more suited to Newcastle than String Larsen. I think String Larsen, he needs someone else close to him, in my opinion, that's a move striker. But Samuel Morojo, I think he's that striker that can run the channels, super powerful, electrifying pace. So I think that's another player as well. And another player that I would mention, I think is a player that Chelsea are looking to sign, commit him at least to a pre-contract agreement, is is the striker for Strasbourg. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name. Emmanuel Lemega, that's it. Emmanuel Lemega, the striker for RC Strasbourg, is one of those powerful cheat players in talk of physical ability, pace, power, can run the channels, can play through the middle, can play obviously as a lone striker, can play with a second striker, so he can be, another option as well. So Asim Ahmed, thoughts on the Crystal Palace versus Chelsea game? Yeah, I thought that game was disappointing. I thought it was a disappointing game, in my opinion, as well. But there's an Up Chelsea TV channel that just started, so as well, we're talking about most strictly Chelsea stuff, Up Chelsea TV. So you can subscribe there as well. Asim, that's really, really be amazing for me. But just to answer your question, for me, I felt like that game versus what's it called now, Crystal Palace, was poor. And I think Gittins has to become a lot more braver on the ball if he really wants to succeed at Chelsea, because you will be doubled up on always. And then as well, Enzo Maresca should try. I know he's been bent on this fullbacks and vetting. He should try to allow the fullbacks to overlap to create that sort of additional width that would allow the wingers cut in and have more freedom to go 1v1. That's my opinion on that game. Could have been a lot better. And say, how are you? Should let Wissa go for £35 million and add-ons for Wissa deal Newcastle United now? Hopefully, AD I hope that happens because Newcastle United just seem to be falling short of getting strikers. Now, speaking about strikers, there has been another striker that has been linked to. A striker I was talking about him joining Newcastle United, but apparently Newcastle United have not made him a bid for him, and now to he's been linked to Napoli. He's been linked to Napoli. So the question is, should Napoli try to see if they can snag this deal? I mean, what the question should Newcastle United see if they can snag this deal? For me, maybe something they could do. But I think, and there are questions to ask from a Nigerian perspective. When you're talking about Tolu Arokodare right now, should he go to Napoli? And for me, I'm of the opinion that he should go. I know some Nigerians are like, the way Napoli treated Victor Osimhen wasn't too good, so maybe he shouldn't go. For me, be professional about it. You can go. Your situation can always be different. But the main issue that I have is the main issue. The main issue I have is with players. What sort of agents do you have? Um, what sort of agents do you have? What sort of uh, uh, um, just 1 second. I'm trying to see if I can bring something up, guys. Just hold 1 second. So about Tolu Arokodare, I was just thinking, like, what do people think about him going to? Think about him going to. What's it called? Think about him going to Napoli, because apparently Napoli have made contact with his camp, with his reps, with his agents. So for me, I think he should go 100%. Go if those offers, if that deal is concrete. I think he should go. I think he should also, but it's just to make sure the agent gives the right sort of advice, the right, you know, sort of direction. If you want any sort of release clause included, you should have it included. As opposed to you go there, you sign a deal, you get paid, and then when you want to leave, it becomes a whole lot difficult. So for me, I think get the deal done in terms of get the deal done, get the clauses you want instead of the contract. Don't look at anything like gentleman's agreement. Don't embrace any sort of thing like gentleman's agreement or anything like that. Rather, you know, rather have all the any agreement you want to be in the contract. Have an agreement you want to be in the contract, as the guy said. Yeah, that's the way I see it. So I'll bring this up right now. That's the way I see it. So I'll share my screen in a minute. Fico just posted about Fico Ade, a shirt sponsor. Maybe in a minute I'll get to that. So Tolu Arokodare, share my screen, bring him up. He scored 21 goals and I think 5 assists to about last season. And apparently he's now been linked with Napoli. He's now been linked with a move to Napoli. I don't know if you can see this. Maybe I'll switch it up a bit and use something else. Yep. So let's do this bit. Yes, according to so Napoli keep moving for a new striker after Romelu Lukaku injury, and today made contact with Tolu Arokodare's camp. He is valued at between 20 and 25 million euros by Genk after being top scorer last season in Belgium. Follows moves for Højlund on Monday as Napoli are exploring strikers in the market. So, for me, what do you think about that? For me, I think it's a fair move. And I was thinking Newcastle United would go for him. I was thinking maybe even Manchester United would go for him because I think he has all the attributes to play as that lone striker. He's got the pace, he's got the physicality, he's 6'6". So he's even taller than Sesko. He can run the channels. He can combine well with others. So I'm thinking he would be a good striker, to sign. But apparently, apparently, no, I don't think they're front of shirt sponsor yet, so it's not being made official. If they are, Yasim. So Tolu Arokodare, I think he would be a fine striker for Napoli. Um, so obviously, some people may disagree. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on that. If you disagree on Tolu Arokodare going to Napoli, I think that's fair. If he goes there, I think he will do well to be a good move uh, for both parties. I think, in my opinion. And one thing as well, from a Nigerian perspective, I want him to go there because you've got Antonio Conte. And despite what people say about Antonio Conte, he is a striker whisperer. He is a striker whisperer. And he knows how to improve players. Look at Victor Moses at Chelsea. Victor Moses was a player that was kind of like loan fodder, always going on loan, always going on loan, always going on loan. Went on loan to Liverpool, I think, before Liverpool sort of found their Premier League groove. Went on loan to Stoke. I think he returned to Chelsea, all set to head out on another loan or get sold. But he ended up staying. He ended up staying at the club and was a very important player to win that league title and win the FA Cup the next season. So for me, I think brilliant, brilliant coach Antonio Conte, and it will be brilliant for Tolu Arokodare to go there. I know people have the issues about dealing with ADL and how the club operates overall from a Nigerian perspective. I don't think they treated Victor Osimhen very well. But just as I've said about Isak, I've said about Ademola Lookman, get your lawyers to read the agreement properly, insert whatever clauses you want to protect yourself and your career in there so you don't have a mess when and if you want to leave the club. So Asim Amir says Gittins feels very raw. I agree 100%. He does feel raw. He does feel raw. He needs help. The way Maresca has chosen to play and chosen to be stubborn, that's sort of what modern coaches are doing nowadays. Everyone's bent on my philosophy, the way I want to play, the way I want to play. So, and they don't want to shift from it, which is a bit sad and annoying at the same time. Because for me, I grew up in the age where coaches just wanted to win. Where coaches just wanted to win as opposed to want to prove something about their philosophy. So, so that's that with that one. And then okay, so we talked about Mo Salah. I don't know what you think. If you just joined the channel, join the stream, join the video, what your thoughts are on Mohamed Salah winning the Player of the Year. I think that is absolutely brilliant. He deserves it. I know some Chelsea fans like me may have been saying maybe Cole Palmer, but I don't think he even comes close to winning it because I think he had that lull during the season as well. And then Chelsea didn't really win the big honors. Of course, you won the Conference League. And then when you won the Club World Cup, the season was well and truly over. So it's not something you can, and it's not even something that you add when you're talking about PFA award, Premier League award, or English Football Award. So working on that one. Hopefully next season, Cole Palmer can come on strong and be very important for the club. So and then so it says Hassan says I think Garnacho will get more play time if he comes than Gittins. I just think so. I think what they call attitude issues with Garnacho, I think, would help him because he has that confidence in himself that okay, I can get the ball and he's brave, I can get the ball, I can chase down this man. So while Gittins has electrifying pace, his pace is insane, absolutely mad, the kind of pace Gittins has. But the issue with Gittins is he feels a bit timid at this point in time. I admit he's just getting into the swing of things. That's just his first game of the season. So maybe he's still trying to acclimatize to English football. Though he was born in England and all, he been out of English football, away from English football for a while. So maybe that's understandable why he may be why he may be having a slow start to the season, maybe. But overall, if he wants to succeed at Chelsea, he needs to be braver on the ball. And Maresca needs to help his fullbacks out. Because Estevao William came on and was very good. He looked good on the ball, but he was always doubled up on. And you'd have the easy solution. Let your fullbacks overlap and take one of those defensive players away. But let's see what Enzo Maresca would do with that one. So Mo Salah PFA winner, interest in Napoli, Napoli interested in Tolu Arokodare, Nigerian international striker, scored 21 odd goals for KRC Genk last season. Let's see if they will go for him, because I think the allure of playing for Napoli right now, I think, is good. They've got Champions League football. They look like they will be competing for the Serie A title again. They have a winner in Antonio Conte. So I think that all those things point to sort of Tolu Arokodare being open to the move. But then again, like the reports say, they're exploring different strikers. They're looking for Rasmus Højlund. And of course, Rasmus Højlund will be more expensive than Tolu Arokodare, in my opinion, because Manchester United will probably be looking for upwards of 40 odd to let him go, and that will even be at a loss. So that would be Manchester United running at a loss if they go for that maybe 45 million pounds type thing, because they bought him for 75 million euros, which is about 65 million pounds. So that would be them running at a loss. So let's see how that all pans out if indeed he goes there. If he goes there, I know he's going to be super successful, but let's see how all that shakes down. In my opinion, my only advice is have your lawyer, have your agent, make sure the contract is right for you. So and then we'll have some run through. So Hasim, I'll get back to you, but just look at some other transfer sort of news that have sort of, what I say, broken, but have been posted. I'll talk about them as they go on. So Rico Lewis agrees new deal with Manchester City, valid until 2030. I think that's fair. We can share this. I think that's fair because Nottingham Forest, he would have had more game time, but I think he's still having game time anyway at Manchester City. So you stay at Manchester City, you have the opportunity to win more titles, maybe a Premier League title this season, maybe you win the cup, or you could win the Champions League, or play Champions League football. So fair play in that regard. So information: Rico Lewis has agreed a new deal at Manchester City, valid until June 2030. Agreement is done. Deal off with Nottingham Forest. So fair play in that regard. Now let's look at more things from here, maybe to come up, and then of course the Kanu Chukwuemeka thing. Chelsea says they don't want the loan. Kanu remains very clear with all clubs interested in Kanu Chukwuemeka. He's available on loan. He's not available on loan. Only consider permanent sale. Now, fair play, because even from the player's perspective point of view, you would want, to leave. You would want to go permanently, go to a club where you're playing week in, week out. That's your home. Because one thing we as fans don't take into consideration is when you're moving out, if you're going on a 1 year loan or 1 season loan, your home back in England or back in Italy, wherever where your parent club is based, you still have to sort of maintain a home there, depending on how long your lease or whatever is on that house. And then you have, sometimes your family may not be able to travel with you if you have young kids. They obviously may be at school and may not be able to travel with you, because you could be coming back after 1 year or even sooner if the club decides to recall you. And so I'm sure from a player's perspective, he would want to go on a permanent deal. And for me, I just don't get why clubs like Dortmund always cry poverty. I don't know why. They always sell players for crazy money, right? They always sell players for mad money. They sell players for mad money. You see some players go, they sell some players for 60, 70. Look at how much they sold What's His Face for, Gittins. So Carlos Soler with this PSG, not too bothered about that one. What about that one? So Douglas Luiz finally back to the Premier League. So I think this is a decent move. This is a decent move for Nottingham Forest. He was very good for Aston Villa. Went on loan to Juventus. Now that move just felt like one of those PSR FFP type moves where you just do make the moves to get your book settled, to make sure you're in the black. So that's why this whole PSR thing, I think it needs to be rejigged, and the real intention of this PSR thing should be, looked at. Now I think this is my solution. If an owner, a wealthy owner, a wealthy boss, a wealthy CEO, whatever, is at the club and wants to spend 700 million pounds, £1 billion, whatever, on the club, all you can say is make sure you show us evidence of that money moving from whatever source, whether your personal account, your own current account, or whatever, straight into the club's coffers first off, then the club can spend it. So all these things about we're trying to make clubs sustainable, and yet, for some reason, you prevent owners that actually want to spend on their clubs from spending is just wild and insane. Just wild and insane to me, in my opinion. To Douglas Lewis, I think that's a fine move, and I think Nottingham Forest are really making good moves. Good moves. They got Callum Mwendo has joined them, in addition to Omar Hutchinson. Now Douglas Lewis joined them in that midfield. I think if they're able to keep Morgan Gibbs White, obviously he signed a new contract, so a contract extension. So I think that makes their team fairly decent going into the season. So fair play in that regard to them. And then of course another one, advanced talks with Jose Angel Carmona from Sevilla. And then, of course, this guy with injuries, Kai Havertz, suffered knee injury and will be assessed. Oosh. Arsenal staff in the next hours. Arsenal new signing. Arsenal consider signing new signing following Kai Havertz new injury, as Steve Honesty reports. So I think that's fair, in my opinion. I think that's fair. Looking for a new player. Hopefully, he recovers soon. Never wish injury on any player whatsoever, even if they play for a rival team. So, hopefully, Kai get healthy soon, get better soon. All power to you. So, what should Arsenal fans even think of? Who should Arsenal think of in terms of a replacement? Now, the name I'm going to call may not be a like replacement. And you might say, yes, Ugo, you're doing this. Now you like talking about Nigerian players. Yes, I kind of do. So, Ademola Lookman is just there. And right now, I think he's better than every left winger you have, even Noni Madueke. Noni Madueke that I rate, I think Noni Madueke right now is the best left winger that Arsenal have. But Ademola Lookman gives you goals. He gives you assists, and he doesn't give you any drama. So I think all that just says he should be one of the names you look at and say, yeah, we should be looking to get him. But instead, I think Arsenal, they have agreed a contract extension for Trossard. I think to 2030, something weird like that. I wonder why does this happen. And then on the other hand, you can always say maybe that they want to keep the experience in the team. But I don't think Arsenal are not like a Chelsea where, you're talking about experience, the team lacking experience and stuff. So I think maybe keeping him in there isn't the best. But let's see. The coach likes him. So that's fine for Arsenal. So let's go into the chats again. So I think Garnacho will get more game time. Talking about Chelsea still, I think his pressure to score caused all the signings did very good in the first few, like the lab Pedro Estevao and all. Is Fofana leaving? He deleted all posts about Chelsea. Now it seems to me that this deleting of posts, deleting of social media handles, profiles, pictures of our clubs, it's something that football clubs, it's all the agents have been advising their players to do. I just don't get it. You know, and I think the last person that should be pulling off such antics is Wesley Fofana. He hasn't been available. You have been out injured. The club has kept you on because let's face it, some clubs would have cut him by now. Some clubs would have let him go by now because he's on a huge contract. He's one of those the first ones like your Ryan Sterling's, that Todd Bowley signed when he was sort of makeshift director of football, sporting director, and they got hefty contracts. So, and he's one of those. He shouldn't be mucking about. Maybe there's some reason behind it. Someone has come up to say everything is fine between World of Fun and the club, and that should be the case. But if he's trying to pull this off as some slight or whatever, it does make no sense to me because he hasn't been playing. He has been out injured, and of course you would say being injured is not his fault. Of course, it's not his fault. No one is going to blame him for getting injured. And no one can doubt Fofana's skill, ability on the ball. He is still super special. I know all of us love Levi Colwill. We all love Levi Colwill. But what Fofana does on the ball, no other defender right now at Chelsea can do it on the ball. The only person that is kind of similar or close that has the ability to do that, of course, is young Josh Achiampong. He has the ability to get the ball and carry it for, carry meters and meters and run straight into the opposition half. So he's special in that regard, but he's been out injured, and the best ability is availability, and he hasn't been also available. So right now, if I was Wesley Fofana, I would focus more on, getting fit, maintaining my fitness, and then getting set for any opportunity I have to step on the pitch and prove myself, as opposed to any weird social media antics, taking your name or taking the club's name or badge, insignia, and whatnot off my social media handle. It makes no sense to me. I think agents and managers and lawyers should act differently as opposed to advising your players to throw their toys out of the pram. Do your job. Get everything fit into a contract. That's what you should be doing. But that's that. So for Gittins, I think he should calm down. But I think he should be braver on the ball because I saw it in the Bayer Leverkusen game. I did say it. I pointed to it, and I said he looks a bit scared when it's 1v1. Gittins versus one defender, one defensive player. He is absolutely special. He can go both ways. He's got pace, but for some reason, whenever you've got a second body next to the primary defender, he suddenly freezes up and just decides not to take on people. Unlike Estevao Willian, who looks tiny. I know he's 18, but if someone were to tell you Estevao Willian is 16, you would probably say, yeah, I don't doubt it. You wouldn't argue, right? He showed more willingness, more desire to get the ball run at his man, and he was doubled up on as well. So that's it. So 80 says Strand Larson and Wissa and Gonzalo Ramos, Samuel Morigen. Come on now, can you sign all four of them? I'm not sure. I know Newcastle United, the reports are, in addition to Wissa, they want to sign one more striker. Fair enough, but to go Gonzalo Ramos, to go Samuel Morigen, and go Strand Larson, I think that would be overkill. If I was the Newcastle United sporting director or director of football, I would go for Tolu Arokodare, but not that. But I would go most likely. I'll go for Samuel Morigen because he can fulfill that Isak role. He's a lot mobile. He's spacey. He's powerful. He can run the channels. He can be that lone striker, hold up play and all. Though it's a bit raw, but Eddie Howe has proved that he can be that. He's that sort of striker whisperer, if I can say that. Players come into the club and he really makes them into something special, like he did with Isak. Let's face it, Isak wasn't really smashing things up in Spain. He was okay, but he wasn't what he is right now for sure. So I think Gonzalo Ramos is going to be mad because he's going to be, I think presently he should be on mad wages. So I know wages really at this point wouldn't be an issue for Liverpool owners. So, but I just think you get yourself Wissa, you get yourself Samuel Morigen. I think that's fine for the striking. positions. And of course, maybe who knows, Isak can come back. But that's it. But so if you're just joining this stream, joining this show, joining the video, thoughts and opinions on Mo Salah winning the PFA Players Player of the season of the year. Thoughts about that, and of course, Isak's statement he put out there. What do you think about that? And then we've talked about Napoli being interested in Tolu Arokodare, the Nigerian international striker that currently plays for KRC Genk, valued between 20 to 25 million euros, which I think right now in this era is crazy cheap money. It's ridiculously low. So thoughts and opinions on that one. Do you think any Premier League clubs should, look to snag him? Maybe like I wouldn't say Liverpool. I would say Liverpool, but they have their eyes set on Isak. Then I'll say Newcastle United. Crystal Palace have already got Mateta, so I think they should be fine, except someone makes a bid for him. Let's see how that all shakes down. So there's one player I want to talk about. He's an unknown player. He's an absolute wonderkid on this channel. That's part of what I do. I talk about wonderkids, players to look out for, and he is a special player. Now, I'll bring this image up and I'll take it up in a bit and also see if I can get a video of a short clip of him playing. If I can't, then that'll be it, and I'll do a reaction video to him separately. So he is Eze Onouha. Eze Onouha. I'll share this. Nation Eze Onouha. He is a special player. He's a deep line playmaker, a 6, a young man. So Eze Onouha, super young man. So move this. I think he's move 6. He plays for a Finnish club. He's able to play for Finland and Nigeria, obviously. But my God, he is super special. Why I say super special is he is that kind of a Vitinha type player that likes to be, on the ball, controlling play. And that's one area where Nigeria really lacks players. That's where Nigeria really lacks players. When you talk about crazy, pacey, skillful wingers, you have them for sure. Talk about strikers. You talk about strikers, we've got them. Loads. Victor Osimhen, Tolu Arokodare, Victor Boniface. Victor Boniface, Tolu Arokodare, there's Rafael Durushimi. So you have strikers a lot, wingers, defenders. But when you talk about deep line playmakers, players that can control, that can just control play, that's where you sort of have those issues. That's where you kind of have those issues in terms of creating players in that ilk. That's where the issues come. And he is one of those players that are just super nice on the ball. Super nice on the ball. So I think this is from Eyeball's profile. Okay. I can get it here. So I'll just share my screen quickly so we can get a glimpse of the player. I think he's just super special in my opinion. He's cool, easy on the ball. See how he turns away from his man there. Calm play, absolutely calm play. And these are the kind of players that I like, the kind of Pirlo type of player. Easy on the ball, of course, very young, playing at a young level, but you can still see that level of maturity, a calm level of maturity on the ball. So I think this one player for me, I say keep an eye, because you've seen Ebenezer Kinsimiro come through, though he hasn't joined the Super Eagles yet. The sort of players what Nigeria really lacks. But I think this is one player that also European clubs, top clubs obviously should be looking at, because he is that good on the ball. So he's calm and mature. That's one thing that also impresses me about this young kid. He's calm on the ball, because usually when you get super gifted players, when you get talented young talented players like this, each time they get the ball, they want to be, I'll take this down. Each time you get players like this, they want to be, they want to do everything. They want to show that, yes, I'm that man. Yes, I'm that guy. They want to glide past 5, 6 players. They want to glide past, they want to dribble and rarely pass the ball. But he shows real maturity for his age. So, Eze Onouha, hats off to you. Hats off to you. Hope when you're ready, you get to play for Nigerian Super Eagles. And what everyone's talking about Nigerian Super Eagles, he can already get to play. I think he can already right now get to play for, the under 20s. The World Cup is coming up, and of course, on here we'll be giving you latest updates on the under 20 World Cup that will be taking place in Chile, and as well as the AFCON that will be taking place in Morocco. So we're talking about all those as well. Well, Eze Onouha, special player. And later on today, I'll be dropping another video. I'll be talking about two special players eligible to play for Nigeria. Keep your eyes peeled on that one. For that one, and one way to know when that happens, you have to click the notification bell and subscribe to the channel as well. So, quick run through all the things we've talked about on the channel so far. Isak put out a statement about broken promises and all that stuff, like in some sort of telemundo or telenovela. And then, of course, Mo Salah winning the award, a PFA Players Player of the Year award. I think he deserves that 100% because he actually scored goals, created goals, was super important and significant for his team Liverpool winning the league title. Because you've seen lots of players, they score lots of goals, but that's what I call empty calories. The goals don't lead to anything. We've seen your Harry Kane, lots and lots of goals, ton of goals for Spurs. I'm sure his Spurs great, but is he actually like the Premier League legend? I think that's a question for people to answer. But Mo Salah, his goals, his assists really amount to actually winning stuff, which is super crucial because professional football is all about winning titles. If you're not winning titles, if you don't care about winning titles, then you should be playing on maybe your power league, your goals, or some other sport. Have fun, dribble your mates, dribble your brothers, your cousins, and keep it that way. But if you want to play professional football, you should be looking to win titles, in my opinion. And then, of course, talk about Tolu Arokodare being linked to Napoli. Talk about that. I think that's a good move for him if it does happen. But just be smart about it. Don't just go in there, oh, we're going to pay you 50,000 euros, 100,000 euros. I'm good. Sign it. No. I also think I could possibly be leaving this club. If it comes to the point where I'm leaving this club, how do I want that to look like? What release clause do I want in there? Is it too high? If they say they want to put in 60, 70, 80 million pounds or 80 million euros, is that too high for the status of player I am at this point in time? You look at it as well. You consider all those things. So it's not just signing to join a club, but also when you need to leave a club, what you want to happen as well. And then we talked about a raft of transfers, talked about Kanu Chukwuemeka, Chelsea only insistent on a permanent transfer. I think that is what they should be looking at anyways, because right now, a loan doesn't help anyone. Because in the back of your mind, as a Kanu Chukwuemeka, it's not like you're going on loan. It's not like you're like an 18-year-old, you're going on loan to Dortmund, and then you come back and you have a chance to play. No, Cole Palmer is there. He's not going anywhere. Xavi Simons probably will join. And if he joins, that means they've got two people in your position. One is rarely dropped. And the other is a new signing that has in the club would possibly pay a high transfer fee for. And if they do that, definitely the pressure will be on the manager to say, okay, Cole Palmer is the main guy, but the next person in line is this guy who just signed and paid 50 odd for. So from a Kanu Chukwuemeka perspective, you're not going to come back to play. And you want to be settled. So I'd advise him, even go on a permanent deal. Go to Dortmund, go to an RB Leipzig. If you needed to take a pay cut to go and keep playing, that's fine. It's Dortmund, they've shown interest in you. I'd be likely should be interesting you as well. And for Dortmund, I keep saying this: why? Lots of Dortmund, Juventus, they make tons of money when they sell players, but why do they always cry broke each time it comes to signing players? They'll sell a player for 70 million euros and want to buy a player for 5 million euros. I don't quite get it. So that's a bit uncanny to make a Kai Havertz. Unfortunately, he's injured his knee, I think, and Arsenal could be interested in signing another forward. Arsenal fans, who would you want? What would you want the club to do? Go and sign a like-for-like replacement, as in a 10 or an 8, or you go sign a second striker, or maybe you sign a winger. Because for me, Madueke should be tussling with Bukayo Saka for that right wing spot. That left wing, you have nobody there. No Drossard is there, Martinelli is there, Mr. Athlete. If this was the Olympic Games, 100 meters dash, probably you'll have a better chance. I don't think he's such a good player, in my opinion. Ademola Lookman could be a good fit for you guys, but then again, the issues are there with Atalanta. So let's see how that all would shake down. And so, just opinions on all these news items that we'll talk about. What are your thoughts? So, AD says, Ugo, how are you? Isak should go to Liverpool now. And I think he said this before. So that's fine. And then Diego Lewis, not Diego Lewis, what's his face of that guy now? Douglas Lewis, rather, has joined Nottingham Forest from Juventus. I think that's a fine move for them. He definitely improves their midfield. He helps solidify their midfield. So Nottingham Forest have done fine business, actually. They've got McCarthy from Manchester City. They've got Calimundo, former France under 21 international. They've got Omari Hutchinson. He impressed while he was at Ipswich Town. And now to get a Douglas Lewis, I think that's some fine moves. And I think the owner is really backing the club, seeing that they'll be in Europa League. I think they'll need all the backing they can get, because a lot of times you see some clubs do so well one season where they punch above their weight, finishing European spots, and then don't really strengthen their team. Believe me, playing those 2 games a week can be a real strain. Can be a real strain tactically, psychologically, and of course physically. Now it's a real strain because if you have the same set of players running up and down for both games, you play on a Wednesday, on a Thursday. Of course, Europa League, that's a Thursday, so you play on a Thursday, and then maybe you play on a Sunday, and then you repeat next week or 2 weeks afterwards. It puts that strain on your body, and the coach, it puts pressure on you tactically, because if you don't have quality to come off your bench, then you have the issue of having to play the same players over and over again, and then they get tired, wear and tear, they could get injured. And then if you say, okay, I don't have those players, you then begin to think of how you want to sacrifice, one tournament for the other. So, okay, what are we going to do? Maybe we keep our quality players. We want Premier League survival, or want to finish in top 4 or top 5 or top 6, whatever. So we need to keep players, rested, and then you sacrifice Europa League, and you get knocked out. The stuffing gets knocked out of you. So fair play to Nottingham Forest, whatever you want to say about their owner. And like I said, for me, what happened with Morgan Gibbs White was indeed very shameful. I don't know how that was allowed to happen. People talk about release clause, buyout clauses being secret. How is it even secret? The fact that it is secret, those are the kind of issues that the FA, the Premier League, FIFA Pro, whatever, should be looking at. Because the buyout clause or release clause shouldn't be something secret. Like you don't need a soothsayer to find out what a release clause says, because by the very nature of a release clause, it's meant to break a contract. That is one way to legitimately terminate a contract, to legitimately breach a contract. You have a contract for 4 years, 3 years. That release clause gives a third party that wants to get a player to say, okay, if you don't want to hassle and negotiate with us, you pay 50 million, you pay 60 million. So having that release clause in your contract, and then having, that clause met, and then the selling club say, no, that clause was found out about in an illegal way. How so? It makes no sense. Crystal Palace did this to Chelsea. a couple of seasons ago, where Chelsea had agreed a deal for Michael Olise. And then they just found a way to say, oh, tapping up, they found out about this buyout clause illegally. That didn't just make any sense to me. I know why that happened. They wanted to get back at Chelsea which was stupid. Chelsea should have allowed Lewis Hall go on loan, go on loan with an option to buy to Crystal Palace. For whatever reason, they kiboshed that and preferred Pauli and Lowry kiboshed that move and rather preferred him going to Newcastle United for whatever reason. And then Crystal Palace decided to get back at Chelsea and say, okay, we're not letting you get Michael Olise. So we'll say you got this illegally. So another thing is the concept of tapping up. I don't think that concept of tapping up really is a thing. I just think it's one of those things that just exists there for selling clubs, to disrupt the deal. Because each time you see a club wanting to sell a player, willing to sell a player, you never hear tapping up as an issue. But it's when the club is so willing, because before you make an offer to a club, that player must have agreed some personal terms with you verbally to say, okay, yeah, if you make an offer to the club and they accept it, I'm willing to join you. Because it will be stupid for you to make an offer to a club, say £30 million for £35 million, and then negotiate a player, oh no, I don't want to join you. That would be an odd way to go about things. Rather, you get a player to sort of give you his word to say, I'll be joining you. Just have an agreement with the club. Once an agreement is made, personal terms wouldn't be an issue. So, by the definition of tapping up, that's what it is. So, just something odd in my opinion. So, Fofana living in little, but that if Fofana wants to leave, and then Fofana and this whole spate of deleting stuff off of social media handles. Wisa has done it. I think Ademola Lookman did it with Atalanta. And weirdly, Fofana has done it as well, which is just bonkers to me. I don't get why he's going to do it. I don't get it, because you have not been playing. You have not been fit. You have been more resident at Chelsea General Hospital than Chelsea Football Club. So I don't see why you want to pull that sort of stunt. Maybe something for brand purposes, or maybe he's going to launch the Chelsea third kids and they want to use him as a player to do it. Maybe, but I don't get the reason. But sometimes maybe we as fans we read too much into things and we look for issues where there are none. Maybe he just deleted stuff off his social media handle, as it is his right to do. So just opinions on all this that we've talked about, Tolu Arokodare to Napoli and Eze Onouha, which is a special player. I think you should be on the lookout for. Have your eyes open about that player. So at this point, I want to say a big thank you for everyone that's joined the stream from start to finish, and everyone who continues to support this channel, liking, subscribing, sharing the video, disagreeing and agreeing. In fact, that's what this channel is about. You're free to disagree, you're free to agree, because we all see things differently. As long as we all keep it 100% respectful, no throwing of no insults, just keep it respectable. Yeah, as long as it's done in a respectful fashion, that's fine. That's what football would I say. Is this punditry? No, I'm just talking about football. I can talk about football all day, but need to bring this to an end, and I'll see you on yet another video. So keep your eyes peeled for the video where we're talking about two amazingly talented young players that could be playing for the Nigerian Super Eagles in the near future. Let's see how that all shakes down. So at this point, I've come to the end of this video. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for your support.